Welcome to Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to my press conference. We're 6 rounds in and things are just starting to take shape. Now, it was another solid round. Again, like last week, I didn't move too far in the rankings, but I'll take that at the moment. I'll show you my side in a minute. So 2,159 and I went up 81 spots. So pretty minor, but often you get that vibe throughout the week where you're like, or over the weekend, I'm going okay. You just don't want to fall too far. I think when I'm in the top sort of 3,000, I'm pretty happy to not move too far because I'm really confident that from now, and even last week I did an upgrade, but from here on out, there'll be lots of downgrading and upgrading and using those trades. And I'm pretty confident that I can trade my way up into the top 1,000. Provided I can just stay around this 2,000 mark for the next few weeks, and then you start getting those upgrades. And perhaps in a month, people who didn't trade as wisely or spent too much on a certain guy or didn't bring this fella in, they start to fall short. So that's my hope. The last few years, my issue has been this, is being placed at a reasonable spot after 6 rounds. I'm not sure what I was last time. I could probably check. I'll show you my side in a minute, but it would be interesting for myself just to see where I sat this time last year, because that has been my problem. Have I gone well past it? I think I have. Round 5, round 6.
First, the Liberals cut 183 million from Victorian hospitals.
Some good old ads. So where was I?
Shorty SuperCoach and welcome to my press conference.
Didn't do me hair for that one, clearly. Where are we?
I got tomorrow off, so it's not too bad. So thought I'd get.
Yeah, there you go. So I was rating 22,000
tomorrow. So there we have it.
22,000.
And I'm going okay.
I'll get over that hairdo. And now I'm ranked about 2,000. So, yes, that's just one round. But if you watched all my year last year, I did vary sort of 25,000th and slowly but surely made my way in, which peaked at about 10,000th. And I ended up finishing around 11, I think. So I moved up over 12,000 spots. Yes, it's easier to move up from further back because, it's just easier. But it's tougher to climb those top 2,000 spots, but we'll see. I mean, I'm only 150 points behind the top 400. Now, obviously, you're not going to catch up 150 points all at once, but it just shows that if you can gradually take 20, 30 points off half of those guys and gradually get there, be consistent, you can still climb up. So how did my team go? Well, let's take a look. Whitfield obviously copped an injury, really disappointing. He started the game brilliantly, was on fire the first 5 or 10 minutes. And then obviously, I don't know exactly when that injury occurred, but it's a cork. I think he's up against it. Because he and Cornelio, this might be the most recent. No, I already read this one, so we'll know over the next couple of days. But it was a fairly decent cork by the sounds of it. So 50-50, and for me, it's really crucial he gets up. Anyone who doesn't have him, you'd be licking your lips. I reckon a fortnight ago you'd be going, oh, I've missed the best defender. And he was a bit quiet last week. And look, you've had a slice of fortune, a nice injury-affected game. It's not a long-termer. He's going to be cheap as chips. He's going to be under 500k or around that mark in a couple of weeks' time. So if you don't have him, latch onto him soon. Otherwise, Laird was back to his very best, and so was Williams. He scored 60 the other week, and people are sort of trading him out. And I just think we've got to be patient. This is a bloke who's averaged in the 90s before. Got to be patient with him, and he responded really well. And then my 3 rookie boys who are just proving really consistent, Wilkie, Dersma, and Hoare. Really nice. They're going up steadily in price. I think Wilkie's just about peaked. I'll discuss a bit of my trade plan in a minute. we're a bit light on that bench. Clark getting dropped, which I anticipated. And Lockhart, look, I would have loved to get Stack. I would have loved to get Ross. Obviously not in that exact instance, but just generally, I would have liked to. Sort of missed that boat. That's probably the one disappointment at the minute. Jack Viney out. Lockhart is a midfielder. Can that see him put more around the stoppage? They're going poorly. Hopefully they play the kids a little bit more. I'm hoping that he can find some sort of form or at least keep his spot. And the midfield, look, it was headlined by Lachie Neale. I loopholed him. Really pleased with that. And otherwise, the premiums were just stock standard solid. Good games, not great games. And I think you take that. It's sort of representative of how I went over the week. I didn't move far in the rankings, just had a stock standard average sort of week. And, I think to really have those gamebuster weeks, you got to have the real top scores. Everyone has rookies who score 60s in that. It's having those premiums that go 130 plus. And Cripps was just okay. Oliver, Crouch, Rockcliffe, all just okay, nice games. I saw Crouch and Rockcliffe's games, and I thought they both played pretty well. And you don't sneeze at 100. You take that. It's not a fail, and they'll play a gangbuster game soon. So I was pleased with that. I'll talk about my trades in a minute, but Liberatore is clearly on the chopping block. Walsh and Constable have been standouts, particularly Walsh. He's absolutely flying. And on the bench, Gibbons starting to work up in price a little bit. He'll continue to flourish off that 100, get a bit of cash from that. And Atkins, being at the game, I thought he was better than a 47. They laid a few tackles, even got the odd clearance. I thought it was probably another 60 odd. It's only points here or there, but Grundy, really, really good. Goldstein, really solid. Played a good game. O'Brien, I'm not sure how many picked him up. I know some people didn't want to sort of trade up from 102k R3, but he's just looking beautiful. He's probably going to get to about 400 if he keeps averaging around that 85, 90 mark. So it's really good. And the forward line didn't really fire. I brought in Daniel for Moore, and Moore was pretty good, particularly early, but it was just a stock standard Darcy Moore score. And I really love the look of Caleb Daniel. He started slow, but he's just a beautiful ball user. And the Bulldogs give it to him. He's so creative. And I'm really confident that the forward line is tough to pick who are the genuine top 6 or 8. He's definitely in there. Kelly, 86. I'll take that every day of the week because watching the game, he's getting tagged hard. And as a Cats man who watches him closely, he drops the head a little bit. When he starts to get tagged, he just doesn't get on the move at the stoppage. It's very frustrating. Almost concedes that, okay, if it comes to me or in my area, I'm there. But he doesn't seem to work off his tagger very well. He might have to work on that. But Dangerfield, not the cleanest or most efficient game, but he kept finding it and kicked a beautiful goal. Big last term sort of pumped him up a little. And Heaney, certainly will be hoping that Lance Franklin comes back. Because Franklin goes out, Heaney sort of becomes more of a prominent target in the forward line. I didn't see much of that game, probably a quarter and a half, so I saw him rolling up a bit high, but I didn't get a good grasp on it. Will and Drew, not too bad, pretty solid. He'll keep going up in price. And I actually nearly buggered myself up. So Neil scored 142, so I need to loophole that. But then I was being a bit tricky. This is where you can get into trouble. I wanted to emergency loophole, or at least give the option, Parker on that Saturday, give the option, if he scores 40, we may as well put Petruccelli on. But then I realised that because I tried to be tricky on when did Melbourne play that Wednesday night, I thought, because I wasn't too confident in Wilkie, I thought, well, I'll see what Lockhart does. You just never know. I'll take a 70. And I thought Clark was going to get dropped. I was really confident on that. It was pretty clear. So I thought I'll try an emergency loophole. And it ended up being, because in my head I had Clark as my 0 captain VC loophole, but then I would have had to have taken Lockhart's 39. So the only other 0 I had, because Scott played on the Friday night by the time I realised this, So basically, I was left with a situation of, well, I need Parker to score something decent, or else I, might have the potential of not being able to use Petruccelli. And if Parker scores 40, you just have to take it because you need a loophole 142. So that's a lot of mumbo jumbo. Hopefully you followed that. But an insight when you try and do VC loopholes and emergency loopholes, sometimes gives you the edge, sometimes can shoot you in the foot. But I got away with one, and Parker started absolute trash. He was giving away free kicks, turning the ball over. Must have been on a low score at about half time, or even sort of just before, because he took a big mark with seconds to go. But he caught fire and looked really good at times. So that's how my team's travelling. I'm really pleased, to be honest. I'm really pleased. I just want to be there. It's like in a tennis tournament, Australian Open. You might not be playing your very best rounds 1, rounds 2, rounds 3, but Roger Federer, you just want to be there. Not comparing myself to Roger Federer. Let's just call me Alex de Minaur. I just want to be there in round 4. Get there, not have played your best, but be there and have the ability to go to the next level. So I think if I can be there around 8, sort of rounds 8 or 9, still be in that hunt for the top 1,000, I'll be really pleased. So a bit of my trade plan. Obviously brought Daniel in for more. And Libber, I think he's break-even about 110, something like that. So I think he's got to go. I always thought he's probably that next category down from a premium. He'll average between 100 and 105, but we're not going to keep him the whole season. It's been really good, particularly for that month. And his lowest score of the season, I think it's time to go. So what am I thinking? Well, clearly Fife, break-even at 90. Fife's got to come in. I've earmarked that for a while now. He'll come into my side. So Libber out, Fife in, and I think that cost me about 75k. So that bring me down to sort of 150 there or thereabouts. And then I've got a decision to make whether I pick up Hayes or not. And I might just have a look. Because I think... Look, I really would have liked to get Ross, but the timing just wasn't there, Just didn't work out what I wanted to do. He wasn't on the bubble, and then by the time I had other things to do, he'd gone past the bubble, blah, blah, blah. So I just missed him. And you can't get everyone. When he scored, 88 or something, I was a bit disappointed. I had missed that. I'm just looking for guys, like obviously Hayes is there. I'm just looking for a potential one that pops up. Answorth was interesting, scored 69. But otherwise there wasn't much. Rowbottom's not doing much. Look, I thought Hayes played okay. He just wasted the ball. He just kicked one out in the full and missed a goal that he had a lot more time. But he finds space really easy, and he's a mature age player, running on the wing. If he's named, I think I'll pick him, and I think he will be named. The question probably is, does Bailey Scott go out or does Tom Atkins go out? Now, you might say that's an obvious choice. Well, Scott's not playing. Atkins, he's playing. Well, Atkins' break-even's 25, and I just don't think he's capable of anything much more than 80. I mean, he hasn't really got too close to that anyway, but I just think the role he plays, he's not a high goal scorer. And I just think his role, best case scenario, is in early 80s, I reckon. If he did that, I'll be stoked. But there's genuine potential for 30s and 40s. So how much more money does he have to make? Probably anywhere from 20 to 60k if things went really well. But potentially 20k. And Bailey Scott, I still have some confidence that he will come back in the side. He had 18 touches playing on a wing in the reserves. Simpkin was really good too. So I don't know whether Scott had come back in. There's just a part of me that goes, trading a bloke out who's only made 50-something K. Bailey Scott started at 117 or whatever. He's only 172. Is a trade worth 55k or whatever that is? 55,000 for one trade. It's not great. 115,000. Okay, and maybe we're starting to talk. It's a tricky one because it's like, hey, Bailey Scott, you might not come back in for 10 weeks. And all of a sudden, I've got him sitting there. But Atkins might just hover around 230k and 290k for the rest of the season. You know, if he's going to average early 50s, you know, you would imagine a slow climb towards 300. So it's an interesting one. It's something I'm going to have to ponder. I'll look at the teams, see what happens. I might have other issues I need to deal with, but we'll see how we go. So I've certainly got Tom Stewart in my sights, got Jake Lloyd in my sights, got McRae well and truly in my sights. I think he's coming off a 97 and 85. He'll be really nice and tasty, probably around 560 or something like that, 570, 580 in a couple of weeks' time. And I reckon Josh Kelly is sort of looming as a potential option as well. So they're a couple of guys that I'm just looking to bring into my side. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you had a decent week. And look, I'll be back pretty soon. A few pods throughout the week, and we'll preview the weekend. Cheers.